Jujutsu Kaisen has changed. It's a shift, and depending on who you ask, it's either one of the most beautiful evolutions in anime right now, or one of the most divisive. This season doesn't feel like a typical anime anymore. It feels like art. Free of the constraints of brutal Mappa schedules that hung over Mappa Studios in Season 2, Shōto Goshozono, the director of Jujutsu Kaisen, has stepped into something closer to art house, something cinematic, deliberate and deeply stylized. And with new animators at the forefront of this, such as Neon41, whose loose, sketch-driven, motion-first animation style prioritizing impact and feeling over clean detail has given JJK Season 3 a real identity. Now, I for one have been critical of JJK in the past. I think it's a really fun anime, but I feel it lacked a bit in terms of story and it lacked a bit in terms of style. I think the story criticisms are still there, however, style now is off the charts. Under the guise of the director free of time constraints, you can notice the difference instantly. Every single scene feels super intentional. Not just the fights either, the quiet moments also. Characters don't just stand and talk anymore. They are framed by the backgrounds, the colours, the contrasts. They interact with their environments in subtle ways, touching objects, shifting their posture, using space to create tension. Sometimes there's an air of quiet intimidation, sometimes there's a touch of emotional distance. But every scene is almost always saying something in Season 3, and I really felt it lacked that in previous seasons. And that is where Season 3 separates itself, because the framing isn't just about clarity anymore, it's about expression. Characters are pushed to the edges of the screen, boxed in by shadows or isolated in negative space. I think Season 3 does a brilliant job of reflecting what the characters are feeling in a visual format. Colours shift depending on the mood, warm tones for calm, harsh contrast for tension, surreal palettes when things start to break down. Not only does Season 3 feel super grounded, it can also feel super abstract, and then for some people that's going to be a criticism. For me, I find it fantastic because it's so intentional. It's not a coincidence that this is happening. This is definitely a direction they are taking the show in. It definitely reminds me of the best parts of the Chainsaw Man movie with its art direction and styling. Now, I haven't read the manga, but when I talk to people who have, some really love the fact that this wonderful story is being told through a completely new lens, while some berate that fact. And let me know what your thoughts are in the comments on the style of JJK Season 3. For some, the creative steps can feel a step too far. As compared to previous seasons, this is the biggest stylistic shift the series has made without a shadow of a doubt. Season 1 was clean, faithful and straightforward. Season 2 found a balance between strong direction and accessibility. Season 3, however, this is full of expression, full of experimentation, and it leans fully into it. Long pauses, unusual camera angles. Feel like a lot of the decisions made for Season 3 are made to make you feel something. Where sometimes I think Jujutsu Kaisen's story can lack in explanation, in Season 3 it's making up for it in feeling. I'm really impressed by Season 3. I've been a bit of a critic of Jujutsu Kaisen. I think it's a great kind of popcorn anime, but Season 3 really is transcending into something way better. I love the boldness of Season 3. It's full of expression, and that extends into the animation style of Neon41. His style feels almost unfinished, pencil-like, intentionally messy or broken, but it gives every frame so much energy. The animation is built around fluidity, speed, weight. Throw in the camera angles, the dynamic perspective shifts, and the quick cuts and visual rhythm, and it just feels like a short film sequence by peak Tarantino, and it feels like an art house film sequence. If you're a fan of creative cinematography, symbolism, and bold artistic choices, this season is incredible. I'm really impressed that the team at Mappa have pushed for this direction. They could have been lazy and just sit on their laurels. JJK is a worldwide phenomenon, but they haven't, and much respect to Mappa for that. Jujutsu Kaisen really feels like a director-driven project now, a version of the story shaped as much by his vision as it is by the source material. And for the first time, it feels like Goshozono has the time and space to fully realize that vision. Season 2 showed the ambition, constrained by Mappa's brutal work culture. Season 3 delivers on it. In some ways, I feel Season 3 might be one that isn't appealing to everyone, and maybe that's the point. Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 isn't trying to please everyone, it's trying to be bold, it's trying to be something, and that's why I love it. One thing is clear, JJK isn't just straight up action anime anymore. This is something else, something more cinematic, something more artistic, maybe something a touch more divisive, but undeniably it's art, and undeniably it's very intentional. Let me know your thoughts on season 3 in the comments. I am loving this season. I have always been that guy in the friends group when everyone's glazing JJK. I'm like, but I'm not doing that anymore. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. Peace, take care, like, subscribe, please. That'll be amazing.